Welcome to the Clique podcast. I'm Dani Watson, a mindset and manifestation expert and founder of the Clique, a company that helps women overcome their fears and limiting beliefs to create a life and business that they love. Within this podcast, I will help you get clear on what you want, identify the blocks that are holding you back, transform your mindset and raise your vibration so that you can co-create magic with the universe. If you are looking to design a life that truly sets your soul on fire and manifest more success and abundance, then you are in the right place.
Good morning, ladies, and welcome to a brand new episode. Now, this episode, I want to actually dive deeper into something I shared on my Instagram post relatively recently. So if you guys are not following me yet, you can do so. It's at Dani_Watson_coaching. Come and say hello there. But essentially, on this Instagram post, I was sharing the importance of taking small incremental steps. And I was talking about how we often want to have it all, right? We want to take these giant leaps towards our dreams and have these like massive overhauls of our lives, these big transformation periods. New Year is a very good example of this. People want to just change everything in one go. And I reiterated in this post that the importance of actually sometimes just taking things slower and doing things incrementally rather than always kind of it being these big giant leaps. And what I was talking about was actually my own experience with driving, which is something that I've had very much a love-hate relationship with. I love the freedom of being able to just get in the car and go wherever I want. But the reality is I'm actually quite a nervous driver. Now, we moved to Spain at the time of recording. It was, over a year ago now. And Spain, they drive on the other side of the road. So already in my head, I was kind of building this thing up. I was like, oh my goodness, I've now got to learn how to drive on the other side of the road. And we got a brand new car when we moved here. And I kept telling myself, I can't do this. I need to give myself more time. So for a while, my husband was the only one that was driving. And then I thought, no, I just need to get over this. So I'm going to arrange to go and meet a friend on the other side of town, and I'm going to drive. So I kind of, rather than just taking like a small step and, maybe taking the car round the block to begin with, I decided to kind of do this sort of bigger journey on the freeway. They drive quite crazy over here. They drive quite fast. They get very close to you, especially on sort of the freeway roads. So I decided to do that, and it was a disaster. Not only are the roads pretty crazy here, but the parking spaces rather, super, super tiny. And I've never been great at getting a car into a big, wide open space, let alone a teeny tiny space. And our car isn't small either. We drive a Range Rover, we need a big car to fit all of our children in. And so I ended up getting myself stuck in a car parking space. And the car parking attendant actually had to come into the car and get me out of this space. Anyway, there is a point to this story. And the point is rather than just taking a small incremental step, I took this big giant leap. And what it did, it sent my nervous system into shock overdrive, because I got back home and I honestly felt like bursting into tears. In fact, I did burst into tears, but I was a nervous wreck. My anxiety levels were all over the show. I was hyperventilating. I'd got myself into such a panic. I dented the car. And it was just this huge catastrophic event, just driving across town. But for me, it was this huge, big thing. And it kind of reminded me that, why didn't I just take things slowly? Why did I have to go and put myself so far out of my comfort zone that it just kind of, shook my nervous system into overdrive? From the moment I got in the car, I was already nervous. I was already feeling anxious, feeling fretful. So it's no wonder that things did not go smoothly. At one point, I even nearly went round the roundabout the wrong way. That's how unsmooth this journey went. So I guess my message for you today is kind of off the back of this post I shared on Instagram, is that we sometimes have this need to want to just prove ourselves that we can do it all and things can be fast and we can do it all at once. And there are definitely times in your life where this big action energy is going to be available to you and it will feel good. It will feel like the next logical thing to take that big giant leap. However, I'm also an advocate for the smaller steps as well, because it's the compound effect of taking those small incremental steps daily and consistently that often produce the big giant leaps. And when they're done in this way, in this sort of slow incremental way, they do not send your nervous system into shock mode. Now, here's the thing, why this is important. Our subconscious mind, what is happening when we kind of take these big, massive changes in our lives? Our subconscious mind freaks out because what the subconscious mind is doing, it is recognizing the possibility of threat in the unfamiliar. Remember how we're hardwired. The subconscious does not like the unfamiliar because back when we were living in these tribal nomadic communities, where we very much were kind of insular as our tribe, any kind of threat from an outside source, we had to be ready for and prepared for. So the subconscious mind has been hardwired to be anticipating these external threats, these changes to our environment. And it does this by putting us into this flight or fight mode. Back in those nomadic times, we needed to be in that flight or fight mode, ready to be prepared for, the attacker or whoever it was. So the subconscious mind reacts in this way. Now, in my case, again, rather than starting out with these small trips, as I built up my driving confidence gradually, I pushed myself into deep, unfamiliar territory and I went into this panic mode. And so, again, we want often, the big change fast, the overnight success, the money in the bank, the perfect body. And there's definitely times when change can happen in the blink of an eye. I've seen it happen and it feels pretty much instantaneous. But there are times when going slowly is required for our nervous system to catch up. Because if we don't allow it to catch up when we make these big changes, we're going to feel that resistance even more. And then it's far more tempting to revert back to where it is safe. So a really good example of this is with the women that we train in the Clique Academy. These are women that are brand new to coaching. Pretty much all of them are brand new to starting a business. This is completely new territory for them. Maybe they've been doing a bit of personal development, but really this is absolutely brand new territory. And many of them set goals coming in. And I am all for setting big goals and achieving things in a very, very short space of time. However, within that short space of time, we've still got to remember that things can happen incrementally. So even if, let's say, you have a goal for yourself to have your business set up and be making money within the first month, it still doesn't have to happen overnight. Each day, as you go towards that end goal of getting it set up by the end of the month, you are changing things slowly and incrementally. It's still done at a gradual pace. And what I often see is that women coming in and they set these incredible, amazing, exciting goals and they want that change instantaneously. And then they start in day one and they're trying to do things that are so far out of their comfort zone that they send their whole nervous system into shock. I've had women reach out to me that have joined the program, and within the Clique Academy, there's a lot of content there. There's a lot of different certifications, there's a lot of business content, there's a lot of mindset content. There are a lot of moving parts to that program. And admittedly, when some women come in, they feel that overwhelm. And the overwhelm is because they see it all and they think, right, I want to get all of this done as soon as I can. I want to have my successful business right now. I want to get certified right now. And they forget that this is a gradual process. Change can happen incrementally and it doesn't alter the amount of success you are able to see at the end. Sometimes we get confused with this. We assume that the quicker we achieve things, the more successful we are going to be. Because I think, especially in the online space, when we see entrepreneurs that are, achieving success at mega lightning speeds, we sometimes assume that the only way to be successful is to do it quick. And quick is good. However, from my experience, it can sometimes, as I said, send our nervous system into overdrive. And then the automatic response is, this is too much. I feel overwhelmed. Therefore, I'm just going to park that there for a second and take a breather. And then we just put everything on hold. And the next thing you know, you've put a pause on your dreams and a year goes by and you think, well, I've done nothing with that. Sometimes in a bid to do things at lightning speed leads to us doing nothing at all. So again, whilst I am here for rapid transformation, I also appreciate the importance of taking those incremental steps. And here's the thing. Small incremental steps does not necessarily mean that things have to take a very, very long time. It just means that you are taking your own time frame and taking that time frame gradually, rather than seeing that end goal of your time frame as something that has to happen instantaneously. So you could have a very big goal and have a very short time frame in which you want to achieve that goal, yet you could still go through that goal in an incremental way. So let's say, for example, you've got an income goal that you want to hit in, 30 days, 1 month. You can still take steps incrementally daily. It doesn't have to be this overnight thing. You've got a month to achieve this. Therefore, you don't need to be at your desired destination by day one. You just need to be maybe, 1% towards your desired goal. You have to remember that the steps you take towards your desires, towards your goals, the momentum you create, it's compounding. So day one might look like you taking, getting 1% closer to where you want to be. Day two might look like you getting 2% closer. Day four, your leap might look 4% bigger. Day 5, 8% bigger. Day 6, 16% bigger, and so on and so on. The idea is that the more you create momentum, the bigger the momentum becomes, the bigger the daily step becomes, the bigger the leaps become, because you get more familiar in the unfamiliar. It becomes easier for you to take those bigger leaps. So at the beginning, things might feel as if they are moving very, very slowly. So let's say you've got this 30-day window. At the beginning of those 30 days, it might feel like nothing's happening at all. But as you get closer and closer towards the end of the month, that's perhaps when all of your big leaps happen. And actually, we see this play out quite often within our business where, we have these launches within our business and maybe, at the beginning of that launch, it's very slow, very steady, not much movement is happening. And then all of a sudden at the end of the month, everything just seems to land at once. And this is what you need to remember. Slow incremental steps does not mean that it needs to be slow, because things can then happen in the blink of an eye, and you will be ready for that. You'll be ready for those giant leaps because your nervous system, your subconscious mind has been slowly prepping in the background. It's almost using those small incremental steps as preparation for the bigger leaps later down the line. And the greater thing about these small incremental steps is, they're not so big. They're not so demanding on your nervous system. They're not going to send you into this shock, panic mode because it's just a little step, okay? And then tomorrow the step becomes a little bit bigger and the next day a little bit bigger still. So again, it's this gradual process. And because you're not sending your nervous system into this shock overdrive, you're far less likely to get to a point where you feel completely overwhelmed and give up completely on your dreams. So this is something that we, reiterate to our students, that success, change, transformation, that can all happen very, very quickly. But it happens quickly by often very small, slow, incremental steps, where the better it gets, the better it gets. I had a private session with one of our academy members recently, and she was actually experiencing this very same problem where she'd come into the academy and she'd had these very, very big goals, very ambitious deadlines of what she wanted to achieve in a very, very short space of time. And she came into the program, and because on day one, when she showed up, she realized that she didn't have the coaching skills yet. She didn't have the confidence yet. She didn't have the business knowledge yet. And she was focusing on all of that she didn't know and was thinking about that big leap that she wanted to take. It almost felt like too much. Where she was now was so far removed from where she wanted to be. And she was almost putting pressure on herself to be that perfect, polished version of herself right there and then, forgetting that change happens incrementally. And because of all of that overwhelm, she actually ended up not taking much action at all and really procrastinating on things. So that when we worked together, we thought, well, how can we break this down? How can we break this down so it's more manageable? so that the change that you experience within yourself is slower and more manageable. The steps you take within your business are slower and more manageable. And we started to do this, and, we realized that things like, her confidence levels, she was expecting to be able to, day one, show up on social media and create this incredibly, comprehensive training, designed to impact the masses. And I was reminding her, you are starting at day one. Do not compare your day one to somebody else's day 100. It's okay to be at the beginning. It's okay to be taking those small daily steps. We often glorify the big giant leaps, because that's sexier, right? Sexier to see somebody's overnight transformation. But that overnight success thing is rarely actually a thing, because behind the scenes is normally a case of small daily steps taken, gradually, incrementally. So my question for you today is to ask yourself, what is one tiny thing that I can do to move the needle forwards, even if it's just by a millimeter? Because slow progress is better than no progress at all. What is the smallest possible step you could take today towards your dreams? So, for my client that I connected with recently, she wanted to be this really incredible, amazing coach. And, she was seeing herself having this phenomenal coaching session where the client was telling her how much she changed her life. And I said, well, that's over there. What is one tiny little thing that you could do today that will move the needle closer towards that? It's the smallest possible incremental step that you could take today. And actually for her, rather than transforming the lives of somebody else, it was actually starting with herself, thinking about her own mindset, blocks and fears that she was experiencing. So her small daily step was actually not to go out and coach somebody else, but was actually to connect with one of our expert coaches and get coached herself. That was the thing that she needed to do. And it may not have felt for her that she was making much progress in terms of her business, because, she was not coaching others, she was not doing anything on the business side of things. But actually that thing that she took for herself was actually the thing that she needed to gradually move that needle forwards. So remember that slow progress is better than no progress at all. And just because you are moving slowly, it does not dictate the level of success you are able to create later down the line. I've had women that I've worked with who have taken things incredibly slowly, or it's felt for them like it's been incredibly slow. Yet I've known how fast things can change in the blink of an eye. And so, we've worked together over an extended period of time. And maybe, let's say we're working together for a year, that first 6 months, it can feel almost like nothing is happening, because a lot of what is happening is perhaps behind the scenes. It's the mindset work, it's the energetic work, it's the embodiment work. And then all of a sudden, the floodgates open, and the better it gets, the better it gets. And then it can feel like in the blink of an eye, just change starts to happen so quickly. And they start to think, well, oh my goodness, like this was available to me all along. But trust and faith is here what is going to be important. Often we want things quick because we don't fully trust that everything we want is on its way. When you allow yourself to fully trust and surrender to the process, it's easier to go easier on yourself. It's easier to go gently and take things slowly, because you just know that everything is coming. You just know that one day you're going to wake up and everything you've ever wanted is just going to be there. It's just going to land into your lap, and it will feel like that just felt so easy. It felt like it happened in the blink of an eye. That overnight success feeling, when actually maybe the beginning part of your journey did feel pretty slow. So this is an important reminder. Again, slow progress doesn't mean that your success is going to be less. In fact, it can actually be far bigger and better when at the beginning stages you allow yourselves to be gentle with yourself. Go slow, incrementally. I really hope this kind of hammered home this message for you today, ladies, because I do think it's an important one. Have a wonderful, wonderful week, and I will catch you on the next episode.
If you are wanting to build your own successful online coaching business, make sure to check out Freedom, Abundance and Impact, our free 10-day business and mindset course for coaches and aspiring coaches. To access, simply head to wearetheclique.com and click free course in the menu.